And I was raised in a musical home where music 24/7 sort of the norm. My mom's a pianist. My dad's a trumpet player. We did a lot of singing. Family trips were always accompanied by music. Shabbat was accompanied by music. After a nice dinner, we'd go to the piano and sing all night with our guests, many of whom were usually singers. Sang in choirs.
Like choirs in synagogues or choirs in school or?
Mostly in school and in synagogue. And my mom, just watching her play the piano and watching those hammers dance around on the inside of the piano, I just wanted to be able to do that.
Wow.
So made that my focus and got out of high school and went to Berklee College of Music in Boston. Then went to Boulder, Colorado, so I could have a regular 4-year college experience and be close to skiing. and just continued to love life and make every day a celebration. That's sort of been my motto.
Love that.
I didn't have to be taught that, I just sort of intuited that every moment's a gift. And have just been trying over the course of the past, 30 years or so. 30 years since I graduated. Yeah, about that. To just keep this ball rolling, to support my family with music, to still put out an album a year. My new one, The Promise, it's my 24th. Baruch Hashem.
Mazel tov.
And
I love your Hot Tikva.
Oh, thank you.
I was just listening to that this morning.
Mm-hmm.
How beautiful is that?
Yeah, that's cool. I did it out all in one night.
Wow.
It was an all-nighter, just, layering and layering and layering. It's all my instruments.
Wow.
Yeah.
How nice. You felt inspired. What called you to that particular piece at that time?
Well, I've always been connected with Hot Tikva pretty deeply, just because I'm often asked to sing it.
Yeah, right.
But this was a commission from Baba Ganoush.
Yes.
Yeah, so they wanted a cool Hot Tikva for kids.
Oh, it was perfect. Techno.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to describe it in today's language, but it had, it had the nobility of the melodic line in between, sandwiched so beautifully with that contemporary feel.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the story. I'm on the road about every other weekend. That seems to be my schedule.
Yeah, what's your life like? Give me a typical, what you do in a typical week, because you lift Jewish souls, and so curious as to how you do that.
Well, every other weekend, as I said, I tend to go lead a Shabbaton in one city, which will be me leading the davening and giving Divrei Torah, and then it all culminates in a Saturday night concert.
Wow.
That's pretty much my seat of power. That's kind of what I do best.
Wow.
Because I can wear all those hats and bring a community, especially if they're a dedicated, open-hearted community and actually will show up for everything, to really get them somewhere. By the time we're together Saturday night, it's really, people are really feeling it.
When you say show up, do you mean to physically show up at all the events, or to show up with an open heart authentically?
Both. Right? Half the battle is just showing up.
Yeah, right. Getting there.
Right?
Right.
Be there. It's got to show up on time. Make your presence.
So,
yeah, they've got to show up. In other words, they can't be. I'm only going to go to synagogue once a month, so this Friday night will be the time I'm going because Glaser is doing the special musical program. So I won't see them Saturday night or Saturday day. There's communities where it's Shabbat. So, okay, we're going to do Shabbat.
yeah.
Where they appreciate the value that there's a special Shabbaton that's got these sort of 3 or 4 parts to it.
So take me on that journey. So So you come into town. What is it, like Thursday night?
Thursday night, usually in the wintertime. Friday if it's summertime, just because I got to get in before Shabbat, since I'm Shomer Shabbat. And I will lead a rollicking, upbeat Kabbalat Shabbat, talk words of Torah in between a lot of the prayers. In other words, I want the focus to be on the why we're doing this, in addition to how we do it. And then it's followed, or preceded, every shul does it differently, but with a dinner with songs and stories and, singing and banging on the table and that kind of thing.
Right.
Saturday morning is normal davening. I usually pick it up around the Torah service and lead through Musaf, and once again it's Divrei Torah and the like. Usually more focused on the Parsha Shavua. And then it's often a lunch and learn for lunch, where it's more of a formal workshop where, I'm actually pontificating for an hour. And then in the Orthodox movement, they get together for third meal, and that leads into the Havdalah and the concert. And in the Reform and Conservative movement, it usually just segues into a concert, mostly Shabbat, which starts with Havdalah and, Eliyahu Hanavi and, arm in arm and really connected, and then it just rocks from there on in. I sometimes bring my band, and sometimes I'm just playing solo, and a lot of the times when I'm just playing solo, I integrate a lot of people in the community, because there's inevitably a guy who's great on violin, or a guy who's great on guitar, or maybe even a drummer, or I pick up some sidemen, just a couple guys. More often than not, the kids in the local choir will sing with me.
How cool.
Pair with their teachers. Sometimes it's community-wide, so sometimes there are many different schools coming together.
Wow.
They'll prepare, 3 or 4 of my songs.
Right.
That often becomes the finale.
That's lovely.
So I'm really into participatory experiences and getting everyone singing, and I'm very happy to share the stage.
Yeah.
It's not, I've got my set and I don't want to be bothered. I'm not one of those kind of artists.
Right. No, I
like to do that, but that's just not what I do.
So I love the format. In your mind, the back of your mind, what type of experience are you trying to create? Let's say beginning with Friday night, because obviously these are a bunch of new people who may or may not have heard your music, and here you are coming in. So what's on your agenda mostly during that evening, and how do the musical choices or the words of Torah reflect that?
Well, like I said, I focus on the what the hell are we doing here more than anything.
You mean presencing?
What are we doing here? Why are we here? What does this prayer say? What should we be feeling now? What should our kavanah be for Kabbalat Shabbat? What are we feeling now that we're going into the prayers before the Shema? What's the idea of seat? We're about to say that paragraph. Why are we bothering with the Shemona Esrei if we've already done all this prayer?
Yeah, why don't you hit me with one of those? I'd love to hear one of those. Hit me with a tzitzit in a kavanot or kavanah.
For tzitzit, one that I often give is, we wrap ourselves in this garment symbolizing God's love and God's connectedness with the entire planet. We sort of remove ourselves from a pantheistic approach to the world, saying that God just spun it into being and then left it alone. We insist that God loves us and envelops us with his kindness at all times and gathers us like we gather the 4 corners together, like he's gathering people from the 4 corners of the earth, or will gather us, Jews in exile from the 4 corners of the earth. I often tell a story about being at the Kotel, my first trip to yeshiva, which was back in 1985, and I was just a new guy, just figuring it all out, falling in love with Torah, experiencing learning and prayer for the first time as an adult. I just got out of college at that point, and at one point when I arrived, somebody told me, hey, Ashkenazi men don't wear a tallis, so you don't need to be wearing your tallis when we pray. And I said, well, what's up with that? And they said, well, until you're married, that's the minhag, that's our custom, and you're an Ashkenazi man, so don't wear your tallis. And I said, but I feel more connected when I'm wearing my tallis. And they said, well, another reason is so that the single ladies on the other side of the mechitza know just who you are. And I said, oh, well, why didn't you tell me? So I stopped wearing my tallis. But it was my last day there. I was on a 6-week program, and I stayed an additional 3 months because I just couldn't leave.
Yikes. Wow.
And I was at that hotel that last Shabbat, and I was just making my own little prayer. I didn't even know how to do the Shemona Esrei at that point. So I just thought I'd do the Shema, and as I did, I thought, God, it's been great getting to know you, and the fact is that I really do wish I had my tallis on right about now. Just then somebody tapped me on the shoulder and motioned that I should be the Hagba at a minyan across the entire plaza there. So I walked back, and there's all these Hasidim there. I don't know why they want me. But just as I'm looking at the Torah, somebody throws a tallis on my shoulders.
Oh, my God.
And I realized that it truly is just a local phone call.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an awesome story.
So, yeah, a story I'd offer. And anyway, usually after a Shabbaton, I go to another couple cities on Sunday. Usually I try to book another 2 or 3 towns Sunday, Monday, hit a religious school, another synagogue at night for a Sunday night show, maybe another place Monday, and then I fly home Monday afternoon. So that's my typical every other weekend trip. And that takes me on average to about 50 cities a year.
Wow.
On that kind of grindy tour for 50 cities since 96, 97. And then when I'm in town, I'm running a recording studio. I produce albums here in my studio and, just try and make people's dreams come true musically. Mostly singer-songwriters, some rappers, rock bands. Just, try to give them something that's really radio ready.
Right.
I'm not into together hack demos.
Right.
To a place where they can compete on the airwaves.
Right. Something of high quality that really is worthy of listening to.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me ask you, have you ever considered a full-time position in the synagogue, or that being the cantorate?
I've been pulled aside a few times by boards of directors or presidents after doing a concert or a Shabbaton, where they get everyone together and we have a quick huddle. What would it take?
Oh, that's funny.
Get you to move to Poughkeepsie.
Yeah, right.
Highland Park or Boca Raton or wherever.
There you go.
And I listen to them. I'm interested to know what they have to say, and I have over the years, once in a while, had the opportunity to really build something. Where I'm not just leaving at the end of the second day with the community.
Right.
So once in a while, I have formally auditioned, and the allure of a regular paycheck and not having to hustle is exciting. So it might be an eventually kind of thing. The bottom line is that it will take a lot to get me to move.
Right.
Very settled here in our beautiful little shtetl of Pico Robertson, with 40 synagogues within a 1-mile radius, as you know.
Yes.
And my parents live in the Palisades, and my in-laws live in Marina del Rey. And my kids are in amazing schools that they love. So, it's sort of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah, I mean...
Definitely I'm listening when I get offers.
Yeah, well, it's nice when the world conspires to affirm that which you're bringing is valued.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously your work is. Tell me about your songwriting process. You create an album a year. So let's talk about your most recent creation. What prompted you to write the songs on that album?
Well, I was just thinking about it this morning that my songwriting is totally random. There's no rhyme or reason. It's not premeditated, so I just sort of take what I get.
So, in other words, do you wake up in the morning, and how do you prepare yourself for songwriting?
I don't. It just happens.
So you're in your studio.
A song almost every day for the past month.
Really?
The month before that, I wrote no songs. I don't know when it's going to happen. It's usually in the middle of the night because there's a soundtrack to a dream, and I'm just conscious enough, either because I have to pee or who knows why.
Getting up.
I just come to just enough to, oh yeah, great, here's a new song, or somebody in the dream is singing to me a new song. And I'll recognize it's new, and then I've got to force myself out of bed. And the Yetzer Hara almost every time prevents me from getting out of bed, and I have to it's like an act of superhuman will to get up and write it, because I just want to go back to sleep and make it go away.
Wow.
And I don't know what it's going to be. I mean, this morning I wrote a samba.
How does it go?
I'd have to find my MP3 recorder and play it back. By the way, it's gone.
So it's like no, what's a samba? Give me a beat.
Thing. Yeah, it's a C minor. It was a C minor samba, and the verse and the chorus interlock. So at the end of the song, you sing them both together.
Ooh.
Meditated. Do you hear me? It's just weird. That's just my quirk. I can't explain it. So, so I just accumulate songs, and I put them in a file on my computer and usually just forget about them. But then I revisit them, or, really good ones I just, will slave away, maybe cancel an appointment, just, try to bring it to fruition. I try to honor the fact that I got the song, and it was a gift, and I develop it. Most of the time, lyrics are attached in some strange way. Sometimes it's just a line in the chorus, sometimes it's the whole thing. And sometimes it's in Hebrew.
Really?
Sometimes it's a paso.
Talk to me about the Hineni. I love your Hineni.
So that was one of my first songs. I don't remember exactly how I wrote it, but that was another commission where I was not writing any Jewish music at that point in my life. I was just writing music for TV, pretty much, and trying to get my rock band signed to a record deal. And my friend approached me to do a song for a Capitol Records release that was going to be benefiting Soviet Jewry.
Wow.
Right before the Iron Curtain fell. So I wrote Hineni. It was like my generation's moment in the sun, our time at the burning bush, our moment with a Haman was facing this evil empire of the Soviet Union. May their memories be erased, and thank God they've perished.
Mm. Yeah.
So that's what Hineni was about.
Mm. What about some of the songs on the most recent album?
The Promise is all fueled by Israel and my passion for Israel. I tend to go every year or every other year and do concerts over there. And it's been a little while, so I've had this yearning, this building up of Israel passion. I wanted to write an Israel song for a while just because I think Israel does really lousy hasbara, publicity. And I think it's important to be a walking, breathing publicist for Israel. And so I sing about Israel in all my concerts. I always have at the end of my concerts a little prayer moment, a kavanah, for the safety of the IDF. And, I'm very focused on Israel. So the fact that I have a lot of Israel-based songs is sort of normal for me. And
where did this connection come from?
I believe it began. My parents talked about Israel a lot, and my mom was an avid Israeli folk dancer, so she was always bringing home Israelis. We had Israeli soldiers in our home a lot.
Is that right?
Yeah. At dinner, we often Israel. Hey, where are you going? That's it? Where's she? Oh, to Silver Lake? That was a short visit. That's it. We have to reconvene, bro. All right.
Take care.
What you got there?
A feline creature came to visit.
Oh.
It's my little Himalayan, which is gnawing on the tablecloth. Down you go, kitty. So yeah, so your parents gave you sort of that connection.
Yeah, I think so. I had my bar mitzvah at the hotel.
Wow.
This trip. Went back when I was 15 and spent 9 weeks that summer on Ulpan. That was pretty amazing. I've been there almost every other year since I was 13.
So the songs that you've written, what do they speak to in terms of Israel and its future, and what are you writing about?
You haven't heard the album yet?
Not yet. But I will today.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. I'm not a political guy, so it's not about right versus left, or I'm just talking about mostly pride, having pride in Israel, having a moral clarity that Israel is doing the right thing, and support of Israel being in our bones, and not, we're not quite sure.
Right.
And never apologize for the Jewish people possessing the Promised Land. That's my shtick primarily.
Stand tall.
You'll hear that. You'll hear that in the music. Yeah. So I have a song about Aliyah. I have a song about just being up all night on a rooftop in Jerusalem while the clouds are flying by, feeling invincible. There's a song about the preciousness of the Jewish journey in every generation, and how we've used the mezuzah as sort of something that's kept us connected. So every Aliyah, all the Aliyahs from the Arab countries, and Russia. It's more of a rap song. So I mixed it up.
There's a lot of material that you write that seemingly is absorbed very quickly by a lot of the Jewish educators around the country. They use your creations as heart-opening, inspiring tools for the young. Who do you write for? Do you write for the young? Do you write for younger students, the future of Judaism? Do you write for adults? Do you write for all people? When you write in your mind, do you have a particular demographic that you target in your mind, or is it just a feeling that you want to expound upon, and whoever understands it and senses it? The art versus
yeah,
the.
You nailed it. The latter. It's like, this is it. Hope somebody gets it.
Right.
At least my mother, my little brother, Yom Tov, who's a musician himself. My family will get it. My diehard fans will get it. I hope lots of people get it. I want the whole world to get it. But I'm lousy at, plotting demographics and, figuring out which target market is best serviced by this. I'm not great at making partnerships. A lot of my peers are really good at making partnerships and get every Jewish organization online, and I'm just an artist, really. I'm just putting out what's inside of me. And I think the reason educators tend to use my stuff a lot is because it's not contrived. I think it resonates with them. I think the educators who are really in it for the right reasons, and because the paychecks aren't great, they're usually in it for the right reasons. They're usually Jews who get it. They just want to make the world a better place. They want to do their little part for tikkun olam, touching the next generation. And so I think they hear in my stuff someone who's just not singing about it, but is doing the work. You know, I'm not just talking about Shabbat, but I'm living it. And, you know, same with my prayer and connection with Israel. You know, I'm walking the talk. And also, I think my stuff has some musical integrity that people who appreciate music deeply, not everybody appreciates music deeply, but like the Cantors of the world who really, you know, they can hear something and say, oh my God, that was the most boring 2-chord song I've ever heard in my life. And how many times have I heard that chord sequence or whatever? That hopefully, being that I'm, you know, a lifetime musician, that I'm giving them something that they can dig into, that they can sink their teeth into, that bears more than one listening. You know, I know some of my albums are not so easy to get into. They're hooky. There's stuff that'll grab you, but, you know, I know from my listeners that they tell me it takes like, you know, 3 or 4 listens before they're really in. But then they're in. You know, it's at least the music I try to create is the music that I would want to sink into. I have to be able to listen to my albums, just like I'd listen to a great Steely Dan or Stevie Wonder album.
It sounds like you create it, but then you reshape it until it's ready. You reshape it until it gets to the point where it moves you without question.
Exactly. That's it. It's just got to be totally right, totally refined. Some people see all the buttons and knobs in my studio and just marvel at all the gear. And how do you know what to push? And how do you know when a song is finished? And you just know. You know, you can just tell when there's nothing else I can do to this. You know, I add lots of layers, and then my mixdown process is subtractive.
Right.
So
the eraser.
Way too much production, you know, violins and keyboards and horns and then I just strip away and I give every part, hopefully I do anyway, don't always pull it off, but I try to give every sound its moment to shine, and make every song stand out from the next. Make sure I like song. I don't like 2 songs in the same key on my albums. I never have 2 songs at the same tempo on my albums. I'm really just, I don't know, I'm sort of anal about these weird things.
So it's like a listening experience, using a musical term, through composed. You don't want anything to be repetitive. You want it to be like an evolution.
Yeah. And once in a while, a chord that's going to be like a left turn or a bridge that you didn't expect.
Right.
And I also, as you may have gathered, am very passionate about the album as an art form. So, you know, the world is going away from albums now into more of a single mode. You know, with the advent of iTunes and now Spotify and Pandora and whatever, people almost never hear the whole album. People don't have the time or the patience to sit down and listen to an album. I was just meeting with one of my distributors, who's actually one of the last guys standing, and he was saying that he's folding up his business. He's closing up shop.
Wow.
Retires, that'll probably be it. Because he said the business is over, it's really not. And I said, so what do you think the competition is? Is it illegal downloading? Or YouTube? He goes, no, it's just cell phones. People would rather talk on their cell phones than listen to music anymore. I'm not agreeing with him or disagreeing. I'm just saying there's just so many things that are conspiring against albums. But the fact is, I really don't care. I know it's stupid, and my wife might argue with me that it's not a commercially viable thing to make an entire, you know, for The Promise, I recorded 19 songs. Fully recorded, I mean, totally done, mixed and mastered, and then picked the best 13. The 13 that best told the story. That's just not done anymore. People make a single. People don't invest that kind of time and money. But it's my craft. It's what I like to do. And I tell people, if you just want to download Modani or Hineni or Shabbos or whatever it is, Baruch Hashem, I'm glad you enjoy my music. That's great. But I put a little caveat, at least I have on the last couple albums, that wouldn't buy 1/15th of a painting. So don't just buy 1/15th of my album. There's other songs that, you know, I sequence my album so carefully. I know what song needs to go into the next. And I listen to the album over and over again until I get that sequence just right. Even after I've released an album, I'm still not sure it's right. There's a couple albums that I've changed just because, you know, with time, I can look back and realize that I didn't quite nail it.
You know, several things came up, one of which was the shortness of attention that you referenced earlier with regard to the sound bites that seemingly are the norm, and here you are creating a oeuvre, a work, you know, to be experienced over time. I'm guessing 45 minutes, right? A 45-minute.
My albums last an hour usually.
An hour musical journey. Wow. So when you go around to these congregations and communities, do you stretch them? Do you give them an opportunity of experiencing the depth of your music over a longer period of time? And what has been their response to it?
Well, you know, you can only stretch so much in a concert in that, you know, I got 24 albums out. I couldn't even play one song per album. It would be long.
Yeah, right.
So I just pick and choose hits based on who I see in the audience. And I really am, you know, sometimes playing to an entire community where it's babies through grandparents, and sometimes I'm playing just for teens. Sometimes it's an elder hostel group. Sometimes it's just adults and there's no children present. So, you know, every concert I have to sort of gauge, you know, thank God I got hundreds of songs inside of me that I can just sort of go to. I never print out a set list. It's a very intuitive thing. What needs to happen now?
Tell me about that process. Here you are, you're standing up in front of hundreds and hundreds, maybe thousands of people, and what strikes you? And I mean, is it that in the process of creating one song, you're moved to a different emotional space, and then from there you seek to create something out of that space, and so on and so forth?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to create. I know there's certain emotional points I want to hit, and I want to take people on a journey. I want to vary the repertoire so that they're getting a really deep ballad, and then I'm just going to rock their socks off, and then, you know, something that's sort of south of the border sounding, or, you know, I try to mix it up that way. There's also very practical considerations in that there's certain songs I know if I play that song, I will sell that album.
Right.
Songs that are trigger songs that just sort of make merchandising happen. Not to sound mercenary, but, you know, it is something that I sell a lot of CDs after the show.
Good.
And I realize CDs are not going to be around forever, so there's no really good alternative. There's download cards and there's, you know, USB drives and things like that you can sell for the modern day. But, you know, essentially I do some business after the show, so there's certain songs I know will trigger responses. And if it's an adult crowd, they can handle a few more ballads. And if I'm playing to kids, they can't handle any ballads. And if I'm playing to teens, ballads work best. More than upbeat songs.
Huh.
So...
Why is that?
You know, I don't know. There's something eternal about a really powerful ballad. Something that even the most jaded teen who only listens to, I don't know, Nicki Minaj or Lady Gaga or Justin Bieber or Selena Gomez or whatever they're listening to, that their defenses are broken down. As soon as I add a groove to it, there's a chance it can become something that they don't listen to. I do it anyway, you know, but ballads are powerful. What can I tell you? They just seem to work. They just cut through.
It sort of reminds me of, a solo cantorial or spiritual voice singing in the synagogue without accompaniment.
Yeah,
In its purity, it holds all the attention in the world because it allows people like this access point to step forward.
yeah.
What do you hope for the Jewish people? Because here you are spending your life lifting up Jewish souls. So what's your hope?
Hatikva, my hope. Um, just like I'm sort of a Don Quixote with the the album thing.
Right.
Make albums and just saying, well, that's my art form and that's what I'm going to do, or just like the fact that I'm still in the music business, even though it's sort of collapsing around me over the past 5-6 years. And I'm so stubborn about that. I'm also really stubborn about the Jewish people. I really believe in the Jewish people. And I am your textbook optimist. I'm a textbook extrovert. I'm totally on the far side of that continuum, and I am a textbook optimist. It's hard to get me down. It's hard for me to lose my faith. So, yeah, you can look at demographic studies of assimilation and intermarriage, and you can look at so many of our synagogues merging and clergy being laid off, and so many of my friends are out of work. I got a lot of buddies in this business. But I'm just as bullish as I ever was. Because when all the chips are down, that's when miracles happen. So just like Esther didn't look like it was gonna, she didn't think she was gonna be able to save the Jewish people, and yet she walked into Achashverosh's throne room, and even though it could have cost her life, if the salvation didn't come through her, it would come through other means. We will overcome. So sometimes it seems like our world has gone crazy, that the Orthodox are getting more Orthodox, and the Reform are getting more Reform, that unaffiliated are just, so hard to reach, so hard to get to, so hard to speak to, and have no background once you do get them in a synagogue environment. And conservative, which was our majority denomination, has lost their way. Yeah, you could talk about that all day and night. But in the communities where I go, I see a lot of life. I see a lot of light. I see a lot of promise. I see rabbis who really care. I don't see many cantors anymore. Cantors are sort of a dying breed. A lot of cantorial soloists, but not a lot of cantors.
Mm-hmm.
And I see synagogues that if they lay off any clergy member, it's going to be the chazan.
Mm-hmm.
And the rabbi does double duty, or they have a cantorial soloist for a couple Shabbats a year and a Yamim Noraim, high holidays. So that means, the kids aren't getting new music. They're not getting a rich heritage. They'll never hear anything by Lewandowski, and they're marooned with folk songs. So that's where our world seems to be going. But I really believe that there's a core of Jewish people that are just keeping us going in every denomination, caring and loving Hashem, loving Torah, not willing to let anything get in the way of them just having a simple Shabbat. And so we have a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of signs of hope.
When I listen to you speak, I feel your faith in God. I feel your faith in the world and in people. Talk to me about your connection to God.
Well, it's hard to talk about connection to God. It's kind of like that Zappa quote, which is talking about music is like dancing about architecture. God is the molecules that comprise our universe. God is in the airspace between you and me, right now. God is in my studio and in my soul and in the music I make, in the food I eat. I'm elevating those sparks when I'm making a bracha before I put a bite in my mouth. We're very lucky as Jewish people. We've been given a very specific path, a holy derech. And we do not have to reinvent the wheel. We can keep God with us 24/7. Sometimes I lead these weekends that, the JCC or synagogue will put together, like, where is God? Or let's talk about God. Or bringing God into the classroom. Or putting the mitzvah back into the bar mitzvah. I'll be this keynote speaker in some of these things, and we don't have to reinvent the wheel, and we don't need conferences and seminars. We've got mitzvot, precious mitzvot. Some of them seem inane. Some of them are crazy. I mean, why? And the fact is, we don't know. We just don't know. But we've got a very clear path, right? We've got halacha. It's a beautiful path. So part of my job, my tafkid here on earth, is to clarify for people that halacha is not burdensome, but it's our wings. And the mitzvot that seem annoying and inconvenient and expensive are really our life. They're our gifts, Kihim chayenu. So
Torah u'mitzvot.
Kimu mishpatim.
So which are the ones of so many of these beautiful rituals and traditions that we have that do give you wings? Which are the ones that you look forward to each day? Which rock you? Which are the ones that take you to that space quickest?
I think when you start to become shomer mitzvot, you don't single them out, right? We don't know the value of any one mitzvah. You just sort of do them all.
Yes.
You connect with a rabbi who does mitzvot and teaches you, and is, most of them, at least in our neighborhood here, are just the most humble, warm, giving people you will ever meet. And so I don't really pick any one. I just, the next mitzvah is my favorite mitzvah. Before I take that drink of water, I say, Sha'akol ni'eh b'ivaro. I just did a mitzvah of blessing God for the food I'm eating. I just, prayed this morning, and I put on my tefillin and put on a talis and found a spot in front of my house, because I didn't make it to a minyan because I worked until 4 in the morning.
Wow.
Last night. I just found a spot right, where everything is green and beautiful, and the sun was shining on me, and what a gift. I got to talk to God for 20 minutes, So, a lot of living this pathway, living this Jewish life, is based on knowledge. You got to do the work. You got to know what the mitzvot are. Know how to do them. You have to know at this moment, if I light candles, it's a big mitzvah, and if I wait till this moment, it's not a mitzvah anymore. So, so a lot of the job for people like us is teaching people what the parameters are. This is what's available to you. These are the mitzvot you can do. This is the way you do them. You can shake any 4 species, but if you get it to these 4 species, it's a very holy moment. You want to hold a pine and a eucalyptus together with an apple. See what I mean? I mean, there's a specific channel that's been given to us. So, yeah, so my favorite mitzvah is whatever mitzvah I can run to, because we learn to run to mitzvot. And sometimes there's two mitzvahs that are facing us, and we've got to know, hey, where's the priority here? And the ultimate priority in terms of the world of mitzvot is the mitzvah of ben adam lechavero, between man and man. No more important mitzvah than that. Yom Kippur, God will forgive us for everything we mess up, except for the mitzvah between man and man. Those we have to treat with such care, not hurting people's feelings, not losing our patience, not getting angry, not cheating people, not being jealous. We got a lot of mitzvahs to think about, don't we?
The complexities of relationships and how we choose to act and be in the world, definitely.
The people who we're closest to, those are the people we're blowing it with most. Are you recording this?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
You got me very relaxed.
I'm grateful.
See, I'm in a big fat rush and can't be bothered. I'm obsessive. But, I worked till 4 in the morning last night. I need a break.
Well,
I have a new workshop I'm doing that you're welcome to join us if you're able. And I'd love if you'd help get the word out. It's called The Possible You. So I have to offer you a little background. My little brother Yom Tov is a Pins Karlin Chassid in Jerusalem.
Wow.
He was a surfer dude from UCSB. Party animal, dreadlocks, the works, And I thought he would enjoy a little taste of yeshiva, much like I had when I didn't know my butt from my elbow, as they say, after I got out of college. So when he got out of college, I sent him on this trip, filled out a scholarship form for him, and just wanted him to have that month of connecting deeply with his heritage, and hopefully would steer him towards maybe even considering marrying somebody who was Jewish, as most of my peers have opted not to. So he was flying. He was one of those rare kids who get to Israel and realize, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
So much more powerful, so much more real than my United States existence. And he never came home. Just continued learning and growing and perfecting his guitar playing and singing and learning Talmud. He became a rabbi. He got smicha. Aisha Torah hired him to do outreach to sort of the fringe, the people who don't quite fit in the box, can't quite sit and learn Gemara all day, or the new kids who come off the kotel that they find who might want to learn a little bit more about their heritage. So,
wow.
So he's the guy. He's very popular there.
Amen.
So now he has 8 children and a beard and payas and the whole look. And he has, over the years, put together a workshop called The Possible You. And it's not like your typical Torah class that you go to, open a text and take notes for an hour. This is a 20-hour workshop into deeply understanding your psychology, who you are, who you've become, why you've made the choices you've made, who you were, who you are, who you will be. It's extremely deep. Depths of Kabbalah and transformational workshops and hypnosis, deepening, and it's got music attached to it. And he's been teaching this all these years, and he's got, thank God, he's got thousands of alumni now. And it's become a real thing in Jerusalem for people to do. So he's been training me. And I'm finally ready. I hope I'm ready. We'll find out. But I'm giving my first workshop ever. It's a 20-hour seminar the weekend of February 9th, 10th, and 11th.
I'm here.
Yeah, so I'll send you a link, and if if you or anybody else you know would like to do it, I can't recommend it highly enough. It's very powerful. You absolutely, they say that if you come out the same way at the beginning of your Shemona Esrei as when you started, at the end, you haven't really davened. But do we really change so much? Are you really transformed and feeling so free after a week of Pesach? Some of us are. Most of us just have indigestion from matzah. But this workshop works. I've been there. I've sat through it. I've watched these, the group bonds very intensely, and there's just amazing things happening. People open up. My brother just sent me this testimonial letter of one guy who has been plagued with tunnel vision, has no peripheral vision, and no doctor for the past several years has been able to cure him. He has his peripheral vision back after the workshop.
Really?
This is what's available to people. Because we're very complex psychological machines. There's so much going on. There's this inner dialogue. There's, so much stuff. So, it sort of helps. It gives you clarity. It gives you a lens. That's worth something. It's worth suffering, sitting through something for 20 hours. It's a long time to be there.
Not really. Not if you're fully present and you're alive, and you're feeling alive, and you're feeling safe in a place that you could possibly grow in. So
yeah.
You do that. You clearly create that space. So I would love to do that. I would love to do that. I had no idea that existed, and I'll be back from New York just before then. So I think I'll be able to do that.
Wow. What's happening in New York?
Well, I'm doing some work with a group called the Hebrew Wizards. It's a new prototype of religious school that's starting to make its way out around the country as a replicable model. Foundation money has just come in, so I'm sort of working with my partner out there who created it to bring it out to the world. Yeah, it's a great combination of the joy of summer camp, kids teaching kids, a very intimate, nurturing community, all wrapped in this incredibly powerful music. And so the Hebrew School experience is radically changed. No books. It's all poster boards where teachers spin original ideas off of sacred learning, and kids then work with themselves in small groups to be able to come up with their unique understandings. It's kind of interesting. It's been fun the last year and a half to work with this gal.
Great.
But meanwhile, you took me to a couple of great places. I was there in the 20 minutes that you were in the warmth, speaking to God. Let me ask you a final question, and then unfortunately I have to leave, which I'm bummed, because I had tried to balance my day. But may I call you back at some time?
Sure.
Oh, that would be great. I know it's sort of, let me go back to that space inside myself. Talk to me, the beautiful way in which you talked about halakha informing your life, talked about raising it to a very sacred place through this great wisdom that we've inherited. And so when you get to that place, what do you feel like inside?
When I get to what place?
When the halakha creates meaning for you, when you take the moment, even though you weren't able to pray at a certain time, to speak to God, what physically happens inside you? What does that feel like?
Well, one thing I know is that God loves me desperately and wants the best for me in the world. and wants to give me the most amazing life, and is giving me the most amazing life. It's a partnership. I'm giving myself an amazing life, and God is giving me an amazing life, and two of us are working together to create this universe. And so too with everybody, if they can tap into that. So, Jews have their own unique path. And that connection is just, if you're in a relationship with your wife, you buy her a present once in a while, you open the door for her when you come back to your car, you speak kindly even when you're about to lose your temper because she's yelling at you again. Whatever, you're in a relationship, there's a love there. So all halakha is God saying, look, I love you unconditionally. This is how you love me back. So I feel like I'm loving God. I'm participating in the relationship. If I just show up on Yom Kippur and I'm trying to avoid God the rest of the year, there's not much of a relationship there. There's that famous maxim that a relationship is as strong as the weakest partner. We're going to be the weakest partner in this relationship, I promise. But I want to be the strongest partner I can be. I try to daven 3 times a day. If I'm too exhausted and I can't do Mariv, I'm a little bummed about it. I lost an opportunity. If I went, a certain amount of time and forgot to make an after blessing, I never said the Birkat HaMazon or the Al HaMichya or whatever after I finished my food, I feel it, because you become spiritually sensitized. Sun starts to go down, I have an inner clock that says, oh, mincha time. I respond to the changes in nature around me, and, you just get the ability to remember God all the time. Oh, there's a mezuzah. I think I'll just kiss it right about now. I'm walking through the doorway, right? So we're just constantly we're sensitized to the fact that we are walking and breathing in a relationship. And then every breath is a gift from that God who loves us. So it's great to be in a good relationship. It feels good. It's the same feeling. It's like when you're in love with your wife and you just can't get enough. You just want to be with her and ravish her, and you just love staying up all night and talking, and, or you're seeing your child develop into this real mensch. And you get to take them on a hike once in a while and get them away from their cell phones and actually communicate with this creature that you brought into the world. That's the joy. That's the joy. It's a joy of relationship. And another mashal, as long as I can't shut up, I have this vision of that halakha is like, I don't know about halakha, but living a Jewish life is like a helium balloon. So for a helium balloon to fly, the rubber or the latex or whatever has to be intact. In other words, if there's a hole in the armor there, the balloon's going to pop, or it's going to fizzle out or fly away, or all the helium's going to come out. And our lives as Jews, in terms of halakha, are like that balloon. We're creating our own hot air balloon, and it can allow us to soar. Why would you want to poke holes in your hot air balloon? It makes no sense to me, but it made a lot of sense to me when I was a single guy who couldn't be bothered with Shabbat, who wanted to be able to eat cheeseburgers without guilt, who loved eating shrimp and lobster and going to my favorite Chinese or Thai restaurants, who didn't want the expense of Jewish, wedding or whatever when we were looking into getting married. But then right around the time, when my wife and I were dating, we started realizing this is actually very positive and good for us, and it's hard to get in. But once you do, and I think the real definition of connecting deeply with our heritage is having a living Torah at all times. And by living Torah, I mean sages who are living Judaism wholeheartedly, who can advise you. As soon as you have a Rav to ask a Shaila, that's when you've sort of made it. That's the final hole in the balloon being removed. It's like, I'm not going to try and figure everything out myself. There's chukim I will never understand. Why is it my wife has to go to the mikveh? I don't understand it. I think it makes great sense in a marriage that we develop this craving for each other over a period of time every month. It's an amazing system. It's a pain in the ass. So I don't understand why. Why do we have to do it? My Christian neighbors don't have to do it. Right? Why can't I eat that soup and I can't eat this soup? You know, these are chukim. They're mitzvot we will never understand. So at some point you stop trying to understand everything. It's that whole idea of na'aseh v'nishma, right? That we said at Har Sinai, Mount Sinai. I will do it and then I will understand. When you do it, it's like you're inflating that helium balloon. You say, oh, I'm just going to give this a try. If I don't understand something, or I can't remember how to do this, or I kind of want to do this, maybe my rabbi will give me a leniency, a heter. And a good rabbi will give you a heterim. It's a flexible system. And what my rabbi determines is okay for me, he will not tell my neighbor that it's okay for them. You know, the Jew down the street who asks them the same question. Because the rabbi knows them and knows what they're capable of, or what's the right thing for them. So, you know, something about that, it's like a helium balloon. And when it's intact, you can fly. It doesn't mean you're going to do every mitzvot 100% or get everything right. But it's the mindset that I want to do whatever I can to be in a relationship and to have fidelity to that relationship. That makes a relationship strong.
But thank you so much, man. This is great. I feel so lifted up now.
Nice, Baruch Hashem.
Thank you.
Yeah, looks like you're in a beautiful spot there.
Yeah, it's the side door to my living room. It leads out to a little awning of trees and things. Yeah. Well, listen. Perhaps the next time we meet, I can come over and we can talk face to face. This was such a gift. Thank you.
My pleasure. And I'd love to get a copy of the...
Oh, you definitely will. You definitely will.
Put together.
All right. I will be in touch.
Ken.
And my love to you, and thank you again.
Love the good work. All right.
Take care, my friend.